Let's talk about ed endings. Many verbs that are in the past tense end with ed. For example, clean. Today I clean. Yesterday I cleaned. Now, ed endings have similar rules as the s and z endings that we discussed in the second session. Here's the first rule, and probably you already do this correctly. If a word ends in an unvoiced consonant, all we do is add an unvoiced T. So let's look at the word jump, for example. The final sound in jump is a P, which is unvoiced. So when you put it in the past tense, all you do is add a T. So jump becomes jumped with a T sound at the end. Jumped. Of course, the word is spelled with an ED ending. It's just pronounced as a T. Jumped, like that. The word walk, which has an unvoiced K sound at the end, walk, becomes walked. Yesterday I walked. Here's the second rule. If a word ends in a voiced consonant, you add a voiced D. In other words, you keep the whole word voiced. So for example, the word rub ends with a voiced B. Rub. Today I rub. Yesterday I rubbed. All I did was add a voiced D sound at the end. Rubbed. It's not rubbed with an unvoiced T, it's rubbed, like that. Here's another example. Clean ends with a voiced N. So today I clean. Yesterday I cleaned. I cleaned the kitchen. Pour becomes poured. I poured the milk. Scrub becomes scrubbed. I scrubbed the floor. Tag becomes tagged. I tagged the clothing. Spill ends with a voiced L sound. Spill. So it becomes spilled. I spilled the juice. Trim becomes trimmed. I trimmed the tree. Move has that voiced V sound. Move. So it becomes moved. I moved to California. Buzz becomes buzzed. The clock buzzed all night. Okay, so that's the second rule. Here is the third rule. If a word ends in a T or a D sound, we add the ending id, which is a vowel I followed by a D, which is voiced. Id. So for example, the word lift. Lift ends with an unvoiced T. Lift. So today I lift the ball. Yesterday I lifted the ball. Lift becomes lifted. And remember in the third session we talked about when a T falls between two vowels, turns into a D, like in the word water. Water becomes water. Remember that? Well, the same thing happens here when the T comes between two vowels. So look at this next word. Heat. The verb to heat becomes heated. I heated up my dinner. Vote becomes voted. He voted this morning. Hand becomes handed. He handed me his report. Trade becomes traded. I traded in my old car. Add becomes added. She added some information. Okay, now let's go over these exercises with ed endings. You'll notice that I put a line under all the endings that are voiced to help you remember to add voicing. Here we go. Bob raked the leaves and then started to wash his car. He then loaded up the dishwasher and finished washing his dishes. Susan spilled her drink on the spotted rug. She cleaned it up with a napkin, which wasted a lot of time. He thanked me and offered me money if I picked up the used equipment. Very good.